Welcome to the Drew Yari Show.
Hi.
Yeah, hello?
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yes, ma'am. I can hear you just fine.
Okay, great.
Alright, I'm just going to turn up the volume.
Yeah, no problem. Sorry, is that the new Skype is a little bit weird to go through.
Yeah, I hear that a lot. I hear that an awful lot. It doesn't really mess with me or cause problems, for me, but I don't know. I know everyone's going to Discord.
Yeah, that I think I've used Discord before. Actually, yes, I do have a Discord account.
Oh, sweet, me too. I don't use it a lot because that causes problems for me.
Okay.
My former co-host, whenever we talk on Skype, he'd be talking all of a sudden. He'd just be talking, and in mid-sentence, he'd be cut off.
That's
5
horrible.
seconds, and then he'd come back. And I'm like, dude, I can hardly hear you. And he's like, well, it must be your end. I'm like, it can't be. And then we were doing another show on his podcast, and there was another guy on, and he said the same thing, that he was having the same problems I was having. So, I don't know. I don't know if it's just Discord or my internet or both or.
Well, chances are if people are on Discord and it's happening, then it's on Discord.
I think Mish mentioned something that you can buy free bandwidth, and that's why I guess it works for him better.
Oh, wow. I didn't know that.
Yeah, I think
Mish is our techie guy, so he knows a lot.
Yeah, anytime he speaks anything about tech, I'd kind of turn retarded for 5 seconds. I'm like, what? So to quote Draper, I'm the bane of Mish's existence or something like that. So, anyways, anyone who's joining right now, this is a special Friday, or this episode's going to come on Saturday, but a special Saturday edition of the Drew Yari Show. You already know who I am. And returning to the show is...
Dark Temptress, also known as Trez from Dark Chronicles.
All right.
I thought you were going to... I'm so you know what it is? I'm so used to Kevin doing the introduction. That's why there was the pause, so I apologize.
Oh, my bad. I was kind of thinking in my head, I turned it to you, Trez. Oh, wait, she can't see me. She can't see my hand pointing to her.
I can't.
So, yeah, next time I'll just introduce you. So.
No, that's fine. I got it now. I appreciate that.
You're very much welcome. So, how has the weather, I guess, not cooled up, but has it gotten a little less deathly cold over in New York?
Oh yeah, it doesn't feel like -14 anymore. So I think right now, I want to say we're up to 20 degrees with a feel of 15. I guess that was the last time I checked. Yeah, there it is, 21 degrees, feel of 15. Yeah, actually, I'm wrong. Feel of 11, which is worse.
Ugh. Yeah, that's kind of the benefits of living in the South, where I think the coldest it's ever been here is maybe 20-something or 30-something.
Wow.
So as soon as it gets to 50, we just all start freaking out, and we're double layering. And over in the East, they're like, that's cute.
Yeah, no, I think the most I've ever worn was let's see, 4 layers. 4 layers, for, yeah, 4 layers for the legs, and then I think I did 2 coats, 2 sweaters, a thermal, and a t-shirt. So yeah, I was, I hate the cold. I'm a New Yorker that hates the cold.
I guess I can kind of equate it, because I remember I dated a girl who used to live in Colorado. And,
oh my gosh,
I asked her that. I'm like, I guess you're used to it. And she's like, just because I'm used to it doesn't mean I like it. I hate it.
Yeah, agreed. I was like, I'm a New Yorker, but I still hate cold.
I guess maybe perfect weather in Texas for me is maybe between 60 and 70. Because
Yeah, you guys got the dry air, right?
Oh yes, unfortunately.
Nice.
Like, this past summer I think was probably one of the hotter summers, to San Antonio to date.
Mm-hmm.
It was like in the high hundreds.
You know what? I honestly would take that. Like right now, Australia has a heat wave of 115. I was like, I'll take that any day. I'll
Oof.
take a heat wave of 115 than dealing with this crap.
Ugh. Well, hopefully it's better over where Mish is at, because I think they were in the negative 30s, correct?
Oh my gosh! Yeah, wasn't he in where is he? Chicago?
Chicago, yeah.
Yeah, I heard they were ridiculous numbers. They were like with feels of negative 50. I'm like, I can't. I feel so bad for him because I would not be able to handle that at all.
Yeah, and on top of it, he got sick, and he was actually supposed to do my show this past Wednesday, and he messaged me like the day prior saying, I'm sick, like, I'm sick as a dog,
no.
and internet's not going to work in this type of weather, so. Yes, I mean, I kind of figured as soon as I saw that news cap of like Chicago's in the negative 30s, I'm like, oh shit, like not like oh shit, like more just like oh crap, poor Mish.
Yeah, that's horrible. Well wishes to Mish so that he can recoup fast.
I mean, it sounds like he's okay because they just did a show last night and he sounded 100%.
Oh well, that's great then.
Maybe not 100%, a crisp 80.
My heart goes out to him just because he's dealing with that horrible satanic weather. That's what I call it. I call this kind of weather satanic.
It's like usually when you think of Satan, you think of fire, but it's like
I know
cold,
that
right?
this is death. This is like hell frozen over. Like if there's a layer of hell specifically for people that hate cold, this kind of weather would be it.
That's an interesting way to put it.
Yeah.
Speaking of hell, the Royal Rumble.
Yes.
Let's do like a quick review of it. What was your overall thoughts?
It was decent. But I can't say that I 100% enjoyed it. I kind of watched it because it's one of those things that we have this tradition that we go to my friend's house and we just, we play with the, we all take numbers and, depending on who, and we put money on it, of course, and whoever is the winner ends up taking the entire pot. I didn't win. But my boyfriend did win. He won for the third year in a row. He won the women's Royal Rumble, which is amazing. Lucky,
Nice.
Always. Yeah.
You're like,
somehow
you're like, God damn it.
I'm sorry. Second year in a row he won it. And I'm like, oh gosh, he's always winning something, which is great. I'm happy that he has good luck in that. But I was like, yeah, I'm not. And you know how horrible it was? One of my picks was Corbin.
You actually picked Corbin as anything?
Because he was in the Rumble, and I was like, oh, I just dropped the ticket back on. I was like, fuck this, I'm done. It's like, God. I'm not winning.
when he threw one of my picks, my dark horse pick, I honestly thought it was gonna be Aleister Black, because I was like, he's gonna enter in the Rumble, he's gonna debut, he might even just win it and go and face Daniel Bryan. That was actually my pick, Daniel Bryan versus Aleister Black at Mania, and he throws out Dean. I'm like, okay, pretty interesting, and then fucking Corbin throws him out, and I just yell at the screen, oh fuck you.
Yeah, I was so pissed off when I saw my number and he came out. I was like, "Fuck this, I'm done." I was like, no. I immediately threw that number out. I was like, nope, not at all. He's not winning it. That's just horrible.
I mean, going over the Rumble, the women's Rumble, I think was a little bit better than the men's.
Yes, it was.
In the review, my review I did for it, I basically just kind of broke it down into two pieces, which was, if Becky's not in the women's, then Charlotte's winning it. If Becky's in the women's, then Becky's winning it. And when you look at that women's Royal Rumble, those two were literally the only ones that kind of outshine.
Stood out.
Yeah, they just outshine everyone else, because Nia's not winning. Now there's Carmella. Now there's Bayley, which and I like Bayley.
I do too.
And I love Bayley. But it's just one of those things. Anytime you see her, it's like looking at a tragic story.
Oh, because of the bullying segment, which makes no sense to me. That entire storyline.
not the bullying segment with Bailey, but more just like, she had such high hopes because like her and Sasha like owned Brooklyn, in 2015.
Yeah.
And then and then Bailey just comes to the main roster and that happens.
Yeah, like exactly. You take wonderful, amazing NXT hungry wrestlers, you put them in the main roster, have no stories for them.
Do you? Okay. I'm sorry.
No.
Go ahead.
No, I was gonna say, look at Breezy. He had his own personality in NXT. He finally found his niche, and then comes to the main roster, and you pair him up with Fandango, and now you got the Fashion Police.
And you know what? Because I remember like the first NXT show I went to with my girlfriend. The main event was Finn Balor versus Tyler Breeze. And
nice.
My girl, she's like she has like a weird relationship with wrestling. She used to watch it when she was a kid, and then she fell off. And it was like she knew names, but she didn't exactly pay attention to the product.
Right.
I have to like teach her about concepts. She now knows what heels and baby faces are. And so it was basically one of those things where like NXT came to San Antonio for the first time. This is when NXT was NXT, like when it was starting to like catch fire.
Right.
And I just looked over at my girlfriend. I'm like, "Hey, if I buy wrestling tickets, do you want to go?" And she's like, "Yeah, sure." Because like before that, we had already been to Raw, and because
Raw.
Raw's Raw, and then she didn't know what NXT was. So we went, and she saw Finn Balor, and it was already over. She loves Finn. She loves Finn Balor. It's weird. Like, I kind of explain this in a weird way. I realize she likes heels more than faces. Because
that's not a bad thing.
Well, no, not a bad thing. But like, for example, when we were watching, I forget which takeover it was, where the match was Adam Cole versus Ricochet. And she sees Adam Cole and she goes, I like him. He's cool. I want him to win. She sees Ricochet. She goes, ugh. And not like, as in he doesn't do it for me, more just like, I don't like him. I don't like all that flippy dippy shit. So, and I mean, that's an interesting way to look at things because, a lot of people always said about Adam Cole, he's such a nice guy in real life. And then there's that video of him with those kids, which I see that and I always smile.
Yeah.
And then Ricochet, I don't know how he is in real life. I imagine he's an okay guy, especially with that video with him and Casey Catanzaro.
Oh my gosh, that he was crying. I was like, I first saw it, and at first I didn't even know they were in a relationship. I kind of figured because of the video. And I was like, oh, I was like, that has to be her boyfriend. No way that he's just gonna be, getting all marky and like lovey-dovey and shit if that's just a random wrestler. Because I'm like, I get it if they're besties, but then I figured out, oh, they're a couple. It was so sweet, him crying and shit, got all emotional. I think he got more emotional for her than she was for herself.
Yeah, I found out before the video because like I saw some tweets between them where she was saying, "Hey, baby," and I'm like, "Oh, she's dating Ricochet." I guess. But
they're a cute couple.
Yeah, going back to NXT, like I had a point. Oh yeah, Tyler Breeze. He had an interesting gimmick, and then he literally debuts on live TV, and he gets jobbed out the next time he appears.
Yeah.
Because the talk is that Vince didn't understand the gimmick.
Yes, that's exactly what I heard too. But I'm like, yeah, go.
Basically, when Vince, I'm sorry, but when Vince, basically what it comes down to is when Vince doesn't understand you, he's not going to put you over. Because that's what happened with the Vaudevillains. He didn't understand that gimmick.
Yeah.
It also didn't help that what's his name tried to like decapitate Enzo, which at this point I'm pretty sure people wouldn't be too opposed to. But
I don't think people would have been mad at this point.
So, speaking of which, Enzo is doing a Rob Feinstein video.
A what video?
Was it Rob Feinstein RF videos?
I don't know what he's up to. I know he came up with his rap video. Then I know he was doing some other crazy shit, and I was like, I can't follow him. Not to mention the fact that he shows up to an event that he wasn't even requested to be at and just tries to take over. What was that? What was it? that he just showed up? Was it a pay-per-view? Was it just a Raw? I'm trying to remember.
It was Survivor Series.
So, yes, there you go. And I'm like, dude, seriously? Come on, it's like your time's up. Like, respect your colleagues. I know. I was just, ugh.
Why isn't you guys laughing? I can't do that. Joey Numbers can do that. I can't do it. I can't do it in his own version.
Oh my gosh.
Oh man. But yeah, we're just flip flopping around. Going back to NXT. Tyler Breeze, Bayley. I don't know. Like, she was like, I think in her time in NXT, I think she was even bigger than Finn Balor.
I think both of them. Well, then there was the takeover that they did in was it Takeover London, where he came when his entire makeup was of Jack the Ripper.
Oh yes, I love that.
You remember that? Oh my gosh, I love Finn Balor, so I'm like, with your girlfriend on that. He's very talented. I am extremely amazed how chiseled his abs are. Like, I mean, it's amazing to me. Like, I wish I knew what his secret was. I don't know if he has workout videos for that.
Well, according to him, he hasn't had a carb in almost 2 decades.
Wow, that's amazing. Well, that explains it. How do you live without fries or potatoes or something?
Well, he's from Ireland. I would expect him to like eat one potato, but
I know.
So I don't know. According to him on his Instagram, he posted a picture where it says, "I haven't had I think it was like for like National Pancake Day. He's like, I haven't enjoyed National Pancake Day in over 2 decades. I'm like, well, whoop-de-freaking.
Wow. Wow. That's amazing. I don't know. I mean, I don't know. There's certain things, I have changed my diet drastically, but there's certain things that it's just like, like if I want to have something, I feel like I can't, like force myself not to have it. Like if I want pancakes, I want pancakes. I'll work my ass off the next day, at least when I could have. That's another reason why I restricted my diet. But yeah, I used to be like, I'll just work it off. And that's what I used to do. I never had chiseled abs, but maybe that's why.
At this point, I mean, I've always said, because I have a gym membership, I just hardly use it.
Same here.
It's one of those things where I'm just like, okay, I'm going to go work out. And then I just crash on the TV. I'm like, ooh, TV. But, and what was I going to say? I used to, like, be on programs or, like, put myself on a program where I'm like, okay, I'm going to cut out fried foods for a month. And I would actually do it, and it would work, and then I would fall off the wagon. And, I'd get back on, and I'd fall off. And, it's getting to the point where I'm like, I'm going to be 30 in July. And I can't keep eating like I'm a teenager, pretty much.
I'm telling you this. From experience, once you hit the 3-0, like 6 months later, it's just like, I don't know what the hell happens to the metabolism. It changes. I'm like, oof, slows down. So.
Yeah, because I see someone like Kevin Smith, and I use that as inspiration, because, he, if anyone doesn't know, he had a heart attack literally at the beginning of last year.
I did not know that, though.
Yeah,
I know he lost weight. I know he from what he used to be to now, yeah, he looks better. But I didn't realize it was because of a heart attack.
Yeah, he was actually doing a comp, because he does stand-up. And
yes.
He was actually going to be doing 2 shows that night.
Wow.
And after the first show, he said he started to, like, feel something, like, in his chest. And when the EMTs got there, they're doing the whole, like I guess a heart attack evaluation, like, rate your pain from a scale of 1 to 10. He's like, I don't know, 2. Like, he honestly didn't know he was having a heart attack, but he can feel something's up. And then they told him, you almost had a heart attack. And he's like, oh, fuck. So they had to, remove some blockage, I guess, in his arteries or his heart. And his doctor told him to go on a vegan diet.
Wow, that's interesting.
So as he describes it, he's a vegan and he's also miserable at the same time.
Aww.
But, I mean, yeah, it's good to see someone like him, I mean, obviously Kevin, has like a dick ton of money and more time, but it's good to see someone like him, say, hey, if I can do it, and I was big. Because if you see him in Clerks, he was big.
Yes, I did.
And, like, the funny part is they rebooted, what's it called? Jay and Silent Bob, and he actually had to rewrite the script because there was a lot of fat jokes in it. And he's like, I'm not fat anymore, so I have to rewrite these jokes. So
didn't know that. That's interesting.
I'm a big fan of Kevin Smith. I'm more of a fan of him than his movies, if that makes sense.
No, that does. I think I just know him from his movies. I know he's big in comics because I know he had his show right after was it right after Walking Dead? After the Talking Dead?
Yeah,
I think his show used to go on after that, if I'm not mistaken. Or they used to advertise it for it.
Comic Book Men? That's what it was called.
Yeah, something like that.
So he actually has a podcast. Well, he actually has, like, I think multiple podcasts. He does one with Ralph Garman. I think it's called Babylon. Or Smodcast, I believe. And he does another one, which I'm more of a fan of. It's called Batman Beyond. Or Fat Man Beyond.
Oh.
With him and a guy named Mark Bernardin. Who's from your neck of the woods. And, well, he's from, what the fuck is it called? The Bronx.
Jersey?
Bronx, there you go.
Okay. Oh, literally from my neck of the woods.
So, yeah, there you go. But, what were we talking about? We just got to Kevin Smith and then...
We were talking originally about NXT and how their characters, just don't make it for whatever reason. I guess because maybe Vince wants a change of heart. He doesn't want them. They just don't make it in the main roster. They just get lost in the shuffle. And then we just kind of, segue. Because... I think you and I have ADD, and I think we just ADD a lot, and we just figure it out. I know I tend to ADD a lot, so.
Yeah, I have like massive ADD. I even asked my mom, I'm like, why didn't you ever put me on Ritalin as a kid? She's like, I didn't want to put you on drugs. I'm just like, well, maybe I could have done better in school, because literally anything could like grab my attention. Like literally, I'll be talking to a friend. And I'll start from one story, and then I'll explain something, but then I have to explain that something's background. And then my friend's like, what the fuck does that have to do with anything? I'm like, oh, my bad. Let me go back. So I tend to ramble a lot.
And you know what? It happens, but at least one of us is keeping track. We'll come back to the wrestling talk eventually.
Yeah, if you guys are listening, we'll eventually go back to wrestling or whatever it is we were intending to talk about. But,
yeah, but it started with Finn Balor's chiseled abs, and then I think that's why. Oh, that's how it was. We started out with his chiseled abs and how he didn't have carbs, and then we both ADD'd about everything else.
So that should be one of the titles for tonight's episode: Finn Balor's chiseled abs.
There you go.
Awesome. Anyway,
I'm sure he'll appreciate the shout-outs.
Oh, yeah, Finn Balor seems like he's pretty cool. He is. He just seems like a guy. He seems like kind of like a very, very silly man.
Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
Oh, go ahead. I insist.
No, I was going to say back in, what the heck was that? SummerSlam, was it 1/6? Yes. SummerSlam 1/6. So there's this oh my gosh, and he's gonna kill me because I don't know his name by heart. Well, there's this amazing guy that creates portraits off Legos, right? So he created this and literally just amazes me because you know how Balor goes from demon to just Balor and then back?
Yes.
He did an entire huge portrait of that. And it literally, when you walked one side, it was demon, and then you walked the other side, it was back to Balor. And yeah, oh my gosh, I don't know if we're following each other on Instagram, but I'll tag you on that. And he does it for anything. Like if we want any personal stuff, like a portrait or anything you can think of, he'll do it. He's super talented. I've never seen anybody be able to do that, especially with Legos. How do you shift it from one side to the other just in walking?
Anybody who takes that much time and is that skilled and that focused to do that, they get my respect.
Yeah, he's amazing. So I met him that night because he's a friend of Justin LaBar, who's also my buddy. And he was having a meet and greet, and he introduced me to him, and he gave me his card, and I was like, wow, I was blown away with that Finn Balor. So the rumor has it that they were trying to get Finn Balor to come to the bar. It was 205th was the bar. It was during it was SummerSlam weekend. It was actually SummerSlam. Actually, it was the SummerSlam that he won, and then the very next day he ended up having to give up the belt because of his shoulder.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that was that same. So we're like, oh my gosh, I was, trying to not mark out, but I was marking out. I was like, oh my gosh, Finn Balor's gonna be here. And I was like, just trying to stick around, but no, he didn't show up. He ended up giving it to him, I think 2 days later, and Finn posted it on his Instagram.
Aw.
Yeah, it's very cool. He does everything. He's done Legos with the WWE belt, anything. It's just amazing.
Yeah, you gotta tag me in that, because that sounds fucking awesome.
Yeah. Do we follow each other on Insta?
I don't think we do.
I think so. Well, you know my name. It's pretty much anywhere you find me with that name.
Dark Trez. Is it all in one word?
Yeah, it's all one word.
All right, sweet. I'll look you up. Yeah, Finn Balor. I think the problem with a lot of these NXT guys is that it's a combination of the audience, not knowing who these guys are, and also how the company markets them. Because if you remember back in the day, it'd be like so and so is coming soon to the main roster, and then they would hype them up more and more, and the audience is like, shit, I want to see who the hell this is. Like this guy sounds intense, like back in the days, Razor Ramon. They would show promos for Razor where he's like, sitting, at a restaurant, throwing his drink in someone's face. So that guy's a freaking jerk. He's gonna come here.
Or Val Venus. Val Venus did promos before he showed up too. You're right. You're absolutely right.
Val Venus, Edge, Carlito, Chris Masters,
even Undertaker.
Kurt Angle. There you go. Another example.
Kurt Angle and even Undertaker, because you remember there was that one time where everybody was like, "Oh my gosh, it's gonna be Undertaker and Sting." Remember they kept on cutting those weird, pretty cool Taker promos, and I was like, "Oh, it's gonna be Sting," and then it wasn't Sting. It was Sting came like a year or two later.
Well, from what I heard, Sting was close to signing, and then he went back to TNA. And then they were like, "Well, what are we gonna do?" Well, what's that, Triple H? So, I remember that match. It actually ended up having a very good match. But
it was.
To a mark like me, it's like, come on, Sting versus Undertaker. Come on, that's something we want to see. We've been dying to see that.
I know, but I don't think we're ever going to see it now.
I mean, if we have to go back in a time machine and right their wrongs, but it's all about how they hype up the superstars, and they don't do that anymore. I mean, you're right. That's a good point. They're kind of doing it now with these NXT call-ups, quote unquote, that they've been hyping up, quote unquote, and they haven't been really using them that much. The only ones we've seen are Lacey Evans and Heavy Machinery.
Yeah,
and that's it. We've seen EC3 promos up the wazoo, but we actually haven't seen EC3.
No, and actually, you know what? Come to think of it, even Bray was promoted.
Really?
You don't remember what back in the not now, but before he came on, and it was like, ooh, what's the spooky thing? And they talked about and then they showed the Wyatts, and then that was also another cool promo. And everybody just engaging the audience, because everybody was just taking out their cell phones and doing the whole light. That was also pretty cool. But then again, that's another one. I think the Randy Orton Bray one was pretty good, and then after that, they just didn't know what to do with him. Actually, I take that back, because then you had the Matt Hardy with Bray, and then after that, they didn't know what to do with him.
Well, wasn't Matt supposedly retired?
No, he said, I saw it on his Twitter maybe a week ago. He said he's lighter than ever, and no, he's nowhere from retiring.
Oh, that's good. Because I see him on Instagram, and I don't know, I thought that was an old photo at first. So I'm like, no, it's actually him. He went back to being V1. I'm like, oh, that's good. That's good. Yeah.
He was saying that he's in better shape than in his entire life. That's what I think I saw a tweet on.
So, like,
like, good for him.
So, like, whenever he comes back, is he going to be broken, woken, or V1, or what's he going to be?
I don't know. I like the broken gimmick. I just feel like I know they ended up having to switch it to woken. I don't know. I like that gimmick, and it worked well in the indies, and I think because it kind of switched out, I mean, I don't know. I don't know what else they could do with him.
Oh, I mean, he still has, Matt Hardy still has value. I mean, that Hardy name is always going to have value. I mean, regardless of, how many people love Broken, Jeff is always going to be the bigger star.
Okay.
I mean, that's just an opinion.
No, I like Jeff Hardy too. I just always saw, Matt, at least with this gimmick, more of him being like the lead in it.
True, yeah.
Like, I like Brother Nero, don't get me wrong, but I just feel like he, like, they get the deletes and they get everything mostly from him and his talks and everything, because Jeff still has his character, but he's not, I feel like, as intense as Matt got in with this role. Like,
yeah, Matt's the better personality between the two. Jeff's always been, the workhorse.
Yeah.
I think Jeff would even admit that he's not the best talker.
Yeah.
And then, Matt's always been the better talker. He's always been more the personality. I mean, if you look at, social media, Matt's always like on social media promoting everything.
Yes.
And all Jeff just says is, thank you, Florida. Thank you, New York. Had a blast. Hashtag #smackdown or something like that.
Yeah, you're right. You're absolutely right.
So, what were we going to talk about?
We were originally talking about the Royal Rumble, and then we segued to Ricochet and his girlfriend, and then we've been all over the place. But
I don't think.
Let's talk about this.
I don't think we're ever going to get anything done.
We will. Let's go back to Royal Rumble for a second. Your thoughts on the whole Nia coming into the men's Royal Rumble, and then I'll tell you mine.
I thought it was stupid.
Okay.
And I don't know. It was dumb. I don't see why it needed to happen. There's certain, and it had nothing to do with the fact that she was a woman, because I thought the idea all along was that Becky was going to appear in the men's Rumble. And
that's what I thought, and I know LeBar was mentioning that, and I was like, that would make sense. That's a pretty cool idea.
Yeah, that
didn't happen.
Even after she won the women's Royal Rumble, I kind of turned over to Betty's sister. I was like, it'd be awesome if she appeared in the men's, and you just hear, one of those talking heads, like Corey. Well, she's the man.
Yeah.
So, and maybe not win it, but just appear in it, because it'd be pretty freaking cool. I mean, I did like when she got RKO'd. That was pretty awesome.
Yes.
But
and she got 619 too.
Yeah, she got 619. I think Dolph did his move on her as well.
Yep, she got super kicked too.
So, yeah, but her taking on R-Truth, and actually I heard a story that apparently R-Truth was pissed off at her.
Yes, I read that today, because when she attacked him, apparently she threw him face first, so there was a lot of heat. Even Jerry Lawler was saying that the heat was real backstage.
Yeah, and also apparently she hurt his ankle too.
That I did not hear. But you know what? But I'm not surprised. I mean, it's not the first time that she underestimates her strength. Maybe we can say that just to be nicer.
But okay, you say that. Do you think that she does that on purpose, or like you said, she doesn't know her own strength?
I don't think she does it on purpose. I know she gloats on it on purpose, just to trigger the trolls or just to piss people off on social media. Because I honestly think that's what she does on social media, is just be like, who cares, and just piss people off. Because her response was to who was it? I think it's PW Insider was the one that reported one of the stories, and she retweeted, commented, and like, you guys are always talking about me, and she said something smart, and I was like, okay, she's trying to trigger the trolls. I don't know. To me, I would hope that she's not doing shit on purpose. because that just would be wrong. You know, she is related to The Rock. And I would hope that because of that and her, you know, her cousins, both of them actually, and their reps, that she's not, you know, she's not trying to just, you know, go off the rails and do some stupid shit. I would hope that she's a little, you know, that she's definitely seems like a professional, but I don't know if it's that she underestimates her strength. I don't know if her timing is off. It's hard to say because this is not the first time that she's hurt a wrestler. It's not the second time she's hurt a wrestler. The last one being Becky Lynch, and you know how pissed off everybody was about that. Luckily,
she also hurt Ember Moon.
Yes, she did. And luckily that Becky, you know, was like, you know, she took it for what it was and was like, you know, all bloodied, walked out still with attitude, wasn't crying about it. You know, so it's like she still played off the, you know, she played off of it, which was great for her, you know. But it's hard to say what exactly would be it. I just want to believe 100% in my heart that she's not doing this shit on purpose.
All right, let me ask you something. Do you think the company doesn't reprimand her because of who she's related to? What I mean by that is, I'll kind of compare it to, you know, the whole, you know, and this seems like it happened like 80 years ago, but like the whole thing with Brie Bella and Liv Morgan, where Brie,
yes,
you know, where Brie pretty much, you know, not pretty much, but knocked Liv out, and it just seemed like nobody wanted to really reprimand, you know, Brie Bella for it. Actually, one person did. It was Stone Cold.
Yes, and then. Yeah, it's so funny because that's actually the next episode of Total Bellas is going to discuss the Brie botches. So I'm curious to see, you know, like the backstory of all of that and how she felt and what was going on. I mean, I know they mentioned ring rust, but who knows? I mean, it's been 3 years that she wasn't wrestling, so that could be it. I don't know. Maybe maybe her body changed in her having a kid, and again, that could be other thing, but. I just feel like, yeah, you're absolutely right. As far as the heat, why is it that people reacted more toward Liv Morgan and Brie? Because I guess Brie was knocking people out every week or was botching and missing. She almost suicide killed herself with that dive. So I don't know if it's because she was doing it on a consistent basis that people were just like, they just, you know, we're like, fuck it, we're not doing this, we're not accepting this, this is wrong, and they went after her. Like, everybody went after her social media accounts, and that's, you know, and granted it took Daniel Bryan a week to react to it, to that kind of defend his wife.
Yeah.
But it's quite interesting because, you know what, my thing is, people were up her case because, oh, you did this to Liv. Liv fucking got a hair color the very next day. You know, like that, or a couple, no, actually, it was that weekend because I'm trying to remember that, you know, the explosion was going on and she was like, haha, and even Liv made fun of it. She was like, oh, you couldn't even knock me out or something like that, twisted it around. And she's like taking bathroom selfies with her pretty pink hair. Well, guess what? If she had a concussion or whether it was mild concussion or whatever, some injury to her head, you don't go, injury to your neck or your head or neck, you don't go to a beauty salon and spend hours while your head is tilted back or it has chemicals in it. You don't spend hours like that because your head's hurting or, you know, or your neck is hurting. So that's why I was like, people are making this shit so bigger than what it is. And then yet she comes out with a new look like that weekend. I don't know. And then with the whole Nia thing, my thing is with that is as far as Steph, I know her whole promo for this entire year for in ad sales was promoting the women. She promoted Ronda, Charlotte, and she promoted Nia. Those are the three women that, you know, she introduced to the NBC Universal advertisers that this is what she's planning on doing, a women's revolution and all this and that. Nia was in that ring. So maybe they're just trying to, you know, interject her to say, hey, look, we're doing so many bigger things with women. The problem with that is when you have someone like Nia to step into the ring. What was the story? Did they even discuss? I mean, I did miss Ross, so maybe I completely missed her take on it. But my thing is, what was the point? She was already in the Rumble. Like, I get it if, let's say she wasn't even part of the Women's Rumble. It's like, okay, you want to interject yourself into the men's to basically say, hey, I'm here, I'm a woman, I need to be part of this. Whether I'm in the women's or in the men's, I'm still going to make it. But her attacking R-Truth made no sense. Her hurting R-Truth was even worse.
Freaking Mustafa Ali having a bitch out to her was even worse. Randy Orton having a self her was even worse. But I mean, it all paid off when he RKO'd her. But I have a meme on that says that has the RKO. I don't think I put it on Twitter. I have it on Facebook. It's him delivering the RKO with the Gillette logo saying the best the man can be. It made me laugh on SmackDown when Mustafa Ali came out at the end and Randy Orton just goes, "Hey, weren't you eliminated by a girl?"
Oh wow. Yeah, I missed SmackDown. Nice.
You missed it? Okay. Well, basically, I mean, do you care if I spoil the end?
No, go for it. Go for it.
I mean,
if anything, I'll catch it tomorrow with the Spanish announce team.
Oh, nice. Well, I mean, you already know Daniel Bryan has his new title, right?
Yes. That
hemp and mahogany.
Yes, that Samoa Joe said, "I just want all the smoke."
Oh my!
And people did a meme of that while Bryan's holding the hemp belt.
Samoa Joe was probably the best part of SmackDown. He came. All right, what happened was Daniel Bryan came out, presenting his new title, and then he did the whole thing that every other wrestler does. There's nobody that can take this from me. Blah blah blah. And then AJ comes out.
Right.
Then Orton comes out, and then it goes to commercial for whatever reason. And then, when it comes back, the ring is filled with other wrestlers. Jeff Hardy. Who else is in the ring? Oh, yeah, Mustafa Ali came to the ring. Samoa Joe comes out and pretty much just roasts everybody. Jeff's trying to talk shit, and then Samoa Joe tells Jeff, pretend this is an AA meeting and shut up, while I'm trying to share with the other people. And then you look at Randy Orton. As soon as he said that, Randy Orton just kind of covers his face and goes, "Oh, damn."
Oh, wow. Oh, my gosh. That was awesome.
He tells Ali, I'll put your ass to sleep again, blah, blah, blah. And then of course, he has to talk shit to AJ. He says, how's our old girl Wendy doing? And then, that ensues a fight with everybody. And then Triple H appears on the screen. Hey, Daniel. I can't do a Triple H impression.
That was pretty good, though.
That hurt my throat. It hurts my throat when I try to do a Triple H impression. He just says, you're going to defend against all these 5 guys in Elimination Chamber. So, Elimination Chamber, that's one of the main... I guess that's the main event. It sounds like the main event. Daniel Bryan versus Jeff Hardy, Mustafa Ali, Samoa Joe, Orton, and AJ Styles.
Versus them being in the chamber?
Yeah, they're all going to be in the chamber. It's going to be for the WWE Championship.
Okay.
So, everything else on SmackDown... oh, yeah. I forgot about this. R-Truth... I think opened the show. He came out and he said, I got eliminated from the Rumble. I knew I was going to win it, blah, blah, blah. And, he said the McMahons agreed, so they gave me a U.S. title shot.
And he won.
Yeah, he won. And, I tried to rewatch that footage, and it looked like the ref messed up. I don't know if the ref messed up or Nakamura just didn't hear the 3 count. But he counts 3. And then the 2 guys get up and continue to wrestle. And, I think his name is Mike Chioda. He lets them know, no, the bell rang. R-Truth won.
Oh, shit.
And then Truth, you can tell Nakamura was pissed off and he went to the back. And I think they pulled it sounds like looked like they pulled an audible. They sent out Rusev and they turned him heel.
So Rusev is now heel?
I guess.
That's what I was going to ask you, because I was like, whatever happened to Happy Rusev Day, which they screwed up for WrestleMania, I know that, but I figured he was still babyface, but okay. Interesting, he's a heel again.
It's a weird week, because they turned Elias heel to put over Jeff Jarrett.
Yeah.
But that's another story we can get to. But yeah, they send out Rusev, and he basically just says the U.S. title deserved better than Nakamura, but it certainly deserves better than you. So they wrestle, and I'm like, okay, they're gonna bitch out R-Truth, but no, R-Truth wins that match.
Wow.
And then Nakamura comes out, attacks him, and then Nakamura and Rusev team up and attack him. So that's kind of like, that kind of somewhat sets up a new foreign heel faction.
Actually, we had a question on that, right?
Yeah, I have it right here. It's from Grand Inquisitor.
Grand Inquisitor, okay.
Yeah, he says, do you foresee on SmackDown another international heel stable forming with Rusev and Nakamura, possibly with the additions of Andrade and or The Bar?
You mean just them? I don't know. I don't think... No. Because remember when they had that whole... What was it? The League of Gentlemen or the Gentleman's League or...
Gentleman's League. League of Nations.
League of... Okay, there you go. I don't know why.
League of Extraordinary Gentlemen? What?
No, maybe that's what I'm thinking. Maybe I'm thinking Gentleman and League, and I was like, make up a name. Yeah, no one liked that. I don't think that went over. I hope they don't do that.
I mean, they're probably gonna do another version of it, but it'll probably be under a different name. Because as I remember, over the Rumble weekend, there was talk of having a new stable, and that was supposed to be Daniel Bryan. But I guess they're doing another one, or they're doing two different types of stables.
I don't know. That'd be interesting to see, but I mean, the first one didn't go over, so we'll see. Maybe it was also because Del Rio was in it.
Yeah, and Del Rio was just a gigantic bowl of meh. So, but yeah, after that on SmackDown, the Usos are now the number one contenders for the SmackDown Tag Championships. And there's kind of a weird promo with Shane McMahon and Miz, where the whole point of Miz wanting to be Shane's tag team partner was that his dad was never proud of him until the Crown Jewel pay-per-view. Which I'm like, okay, the Miz was a WWE champion. He main evented Mania.
Yes, he was.
He was a Money in the Bank winner, a multiple-time U.S. champion, Intercontinental champion. He's been tag champion before.
Mm-hmm.
He's been in movies, and his dad was never proud of any of that. But he was proud of him wrestling at probably one of the worst pay-per-views of all time.
Pretty much.
And I'm just like, yeah, your dad sounds kind of like a picky bitch, but okay. So...
They just had to come up with some bullshit.
I mean, I understand it's wrestling.
He's also got a daughter. His dad's not going to be proud of the fact that he made him, a grandfather.
I could just picture the Miz. Hey, Dad, I have a kid. Huh?
Exactly.
It's still not enough, Mike.
I'm still not proud of you. Really?
Hey, I'm married
I was
to
like, but she's cute. No, it doesn't matter.
I'm married to this hot French-Canadian chick. Huh?
Right?
Not enough. Nope. He's just crossing his arms and shaking his head. Nope. But,
I got my own movie. Nope.
He's like, I'm wrestling in Saudi Arabia. Continue.
Mm-hmm.
I'm in a fake tournament that nobody cares about.
Mm-hmm.
You're close. So, yeah, he brings his dad out, and then his dad just says, I love you, Mike. I'm proud of you. Aww.
I heard his dad won over.
Oh, yeah, he won over because Shane McMahon referred to him as Mr. Miz.
Oh, wow.
So, and the whole crowd actually chanted for him. It was a weird crowd. That was actually a pretty interesting crowd. I'm not sure if they were huffing some of Daniel's WWE championship made of hemp. What happened? What else happened? Oh, yeah, Charlotte and Becky opened the show. And Becky came out with a big reaction. And it's funny, like, because I like Becky. I can also realize that she's maybe not as over as everyone thinks she is.
Yeah.
Like, she's not moving the needle, if that makes sense. Like, she's over, but she's not a stone cold over. But I like her, and I'll sometimes kind of, like, talk a little shit to Kev. I'm like, hey, did you see that, Kev? She got a reaction. So I'm pretty sure he'll just smirk and be like, uh-huh. But Charlotte comes out, and she's a full-fledged Tia, which I like, because I like bitchy Charlotte.
Yes, I do too. I don't like babyface Charlotte.
I don't like Charlotte who cries about everything. I like
Nope.
I like bitchy Charlotte who is just, and I hate to use this word, I don't know if you'll get offended, but I like cunny Charlotte.
Why would I get offended with a word that I use often?
Okay, then never mind. We're cool. Well, that's a word I use a lot, but
I do too.
All right, sweet. Anywho, she comes out, she's talking shit. She's like, "Oh, I'm proud that you got over. You became the man after you were molded by the queen." And, Becky punches her right in the mouth, and it looked like she legit punched her.
That.
I was like, oh, damn.
Yep, I saw that.
So she walks away, and then Charlotte attacks her from behind and beats the shit out of her and leaves her laying, and then Becky gets in her Rolls Royce or SUV, whatever the hell car that is, and just drives off. What else? Really nothing else I was interested. Another bland, lame-ass promo by Mandy Rose. Basically, the reason why she really hates Naomi is when Mandy Rose and Sonya Deville were on Tough Enough. They showed a part in the episode where Naomi and Sasha Banks and I believe Tamina were, I guess, acting as coaches. And Naomi was, I guess, trying to show tough love and say, "Oh, you look weak." And Mandy Rose is like, "She was a bully, and she talked down on me. And I was so hurt that I went home, and my boyfriend at the time couldn't deal with it, so he left me. So that's why I'm trying to break up their marriage." And I'm just thinking, whoever's ever writing for this woman obviously does not know anything about women, has never been in a relationship, has never even seen a pair of breasts in his life. Like,
you're right.
It's like, just who's ever writing for Mandy, please stop. It's like, please.
Drew, they'll rotate them in like 3 months. Or 2. They rotate writers so quickly that it's like the stories. That's the other thing. There's no consistency with the writing because you'll have one story and then it just magically drops and you're like, oh, I thought this was, okay. And then and it continues on to something else. So I was like, but wasn't this person doing something? And now it's just, I don't know. It's hard to keep up with these stories.
It's kind of like with Braun Strowman when him and, where he was actually starting to get over it because he was beating the shit out of Roman.
Mm-hmm.
And then I think he came out one night and he was like, "Just like all of you, I hate Roman Reigns, but I don't give a damn what any of you think because I hate you too." And it's like, what? Oh, that hurt my voice again.
Good impressions, though.
Yeah, thank you. I try. And it's going back to the the Ronda Rousey promo from this Monday where
I heard Vicky said it sucked.
Oh, it was bad. She came out. I don't even know what they had her say. I forgot what she was even saying. I think she said something like, "You know what they say about dreams coming true," and the whole crowd just ripped her apart, would not let her talk. And then Becky comes out to kind of actually it started into the match with her and Bayley, which was pretty bad, very very sloppy, and it ended, and then Becky came out and of course, the whole place erupted, and she said, "I choose you for my opponent." And then, Ronda, in like 15, 20 seconds, ends up cutting a pretty good promo where she pretty much says, I can beat the ever-living piss out of you, right? I can fucking kill you. We're the same age, and when, 10 years ago or like 5 years ago, I was main eventing pay-per-views. Where the hell were you?
Nice.
And it was actually a pretty good promo. I think she kind of fumbled on her words, but it didn't really bother me. That didn't bother me that she fumbled on her words because when you're pissed off, you tend to fumble your words when you're pissed because you're not really thinking.
Exactly.
She just says, "I'll kick your ass at WrestleMania," and then she drops the mic and leaves. So, my whole thing is, Ronda Rousey has to realize that she actually has control of her character.
Mm-hmm.
If some guy's giving her this, like, shit promo, she has to realize in her head, I don't want to fucking say this shit.
Yeah, she needs to turn Brock Lesnar.
Well, I mean, Brock doesn't talk.
No, not in that sense. I mean, in the I don't give a fuck if you're Vince McMahon, I'm still gonna throw the title in your face. You know what I mean? Like that. She needs to, like you said, she needs to take control. First of all, got no problem with the artist for Joan Jett that does her that she comes out to, but please get yourself some fucking metal song or something that's badass. You don't come up to like a poppy song and you're like, and we're supposed to believe that you're the baddest woman baddest woman of the planet, but you come out to this.
I was gonna say, like, and get better gear.
Like I'm fine with her coming out with the kilt and in memory of
the kilt. I'm not saying the kilt. I love
her gear.
I love Roddy.
Yes.
I'm saying like her actual wrestling gear because there's that joke that we all have where it's like she spends more time fixing her gear than actually wrestling.
Yes. Oh my gosh. Yes.
I'm not sure what she's trying to go for. I don't know. I mean, because I've never been the big UFC connoisseur. But I don't know. I never really watched her fights, so I'm not sure how she actually dressed. But I'm pretty sure she didn't dress like that. So I mean, she needs better gear because it looks kind of. I get kind of squeamish when I see her in that gear. I'm like, something's gonna pop out. But
and the swan makeup.
Ugh, why? I don't get it. I mean, good for her, but it's just like. Yeah, I agree with you. She needs to change her theme already because I'm getting sick of Joan Jett.
I don't care if it's a man or a woman in metal. Someone screeching, someone screaming, someone that's like, that makes me think, oh shit, she's gonna murder me. Some kind of horror music as her entrance. That it's like, oh dear God, this woman is coming to the ring and I'm about to shit my pants. That's the kind of entrance that I want her to make.
This is kind of an interesting topic, about entrance music. Who in WWE currently do you think needs better entrance music? Besides Ronda Rousey.
I mean, I actually like Becky's, but I don't know if it goes well with her new, with her new look.
Yes, I mean, because and I actually like Sheamus's theme. I mean, I don't like Sheamus as a wrestler.
He gives good hugs. I can tell you that.
Oh, really? Interesting.
Yes, he does.
All right.
I met him just sideways. I met him at the same meet and greet that I was telling you about for SummerSlam.
Yeah.
I met him there, and he was doing the post show with LaBar. So, like, my friend and she was trying to I was like, take pictures of Sheamus, and he caught her taking a picture. He points at her. We still have those pictures. And he's like, come over here. So it's pretty cool. Like we took shots of tequila. It was a pretty cool night. And he gave us a hug and I was like, oh, it's so nice. And I was like, okay. I was like, I'm marking for a Sheamus now.
Did he do his entrance pose like what he does at the top ramp when he comes out?
No, not at all. Not at all. He was in the middle of an interview with LaBar.
Yeah.
So right after that, they did their thing, and because we ended up having the after party there within the bar, so it was post show, and then it was that. So we hung out a little bit, and then I think he left after that.
Interesting.
Mm-hmm.
So that's an interesting topic. Sheamus gives good hugs. Anyways, Sheamus's entrance I actually like. His entrance theme I actually like. Becky, she needs to change that already because that's way too poppy and upbeat, especially when she's the man.
Yep.
Like, kind of do what Sheamus is doing. I guess get the same artist as him.
Or how Samoa Joe comes out to that I don't know the song, but I know it's like dun, 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 like that beat, like that, like I'm here to fuck things over kind of thing.
Yeah, pretty much. It sounds like a Godzilla theme, actually.
Yes, that's the kind of shit she needs. She needs something edgier like that. Like, I love her song, but it doesn't. But I feel like if she's gonna have this, like, tough as nails, you need a new theme.
One theme I've never liked. I've never liked AJ Styles' theme.
I don't. His is not so bad.
Well, you know what? His theme was actually supposed to be for Mark Henry.
That I did not know.
Yeah, because that was actually according to him. Like, apparently his theme was supposed to be from Mark Henry, but they decided to give it to him. I'm like, all right, so
that makes sense, though. I can see that being Mark Henry's theme.
A black man from South Texas, as opposed, giving your theme to a white guy from Atlanta. Okay, that works.
Mm-hmm.
And I love AJ Styles. I'm a huge AJ mark, but yeah, that thing doesn't work for him. I mean, supposedly he likes, rap. I think he likes hip hop and rap.
Yeah.
But yeah, him. Who's another theme I don't like? Well, maybe not so much don't like. I think Daniel Bryan might need to change his theme pretty soon.
I was just gonna say Daniel, because he's not doing anything with the Yes Movement anymore.
No, like the Yes Movement.
He needs to switch that out.
I mean, I know Daniel's a smart guy. I'm pretty sure he's gonna say, "Yeah, give me new entrance music," because that's already played out.
Mm-hmm.
So that and who else?
I like The Miz.
Yeah, the Miz fits him. The Miz,
yeah.
It's kind of one of those like songs that's just like, you know what, let him keep that. Like he deserves it. Who else?
Charlotte's theme's fine.
Yeah, I mean, I guess you can keep that. Well, can't really think of anyone else.
What about the Dean Ambrose?
Dean Ambrose. We didn't even get to talk about him.
Nope, but see how I brought him up?
That's a good segue.
Yeah.
They didn't change his theme. All they did was add an annoying air horn to it, and then they just decided to play his music. Yeah, Dean Ambrose. Anyone that's been kind of living under a rock. Dean Ambrose supposedly will be going bye-bye after WrestleMania. Yeah, in April. He the story according to PW Torch was that over the weekend of the Royal Rumble, Vince McMahon offered him 5 years, a dick ton of money apparently, and he turned it down because he's frustrated, with how creative is going. He doesn't like that they made his character hokey. And
I don't blame.
That he's pretty much gone after April, and which supposedly explains why he got jobbed out in the Rumble so quickly, and why he had to do a job for Seth on Monday. What is your overall analysis of this?
I don't think it's work. I think he really legitimately is leaving. You're right. He came back, new look. He looked plumper than ever. They turned him heel. They had the right moment to turn him heel with Roman, saying that he has leukemia, or Joe saying that he has leukemia and having to relinquish the belt. So it was good moment, good heel heat that he got at that moment. But then after that, it's like, what are you having him do? But then it goes kind of with everything else. It goes back to what we were talking about as far as storylines. What do they have him do to him? They don't have anything for him. What can he go after? You're not going to put him. You're not going to make him, lead, and you're not going to put him up against Brock. You're not going to do that. Or you're not going to put him against the Daniel Bryan. You're not going to give him the title at all. So it's like, what exactly are you trying to do now?
Yeah, I mean, because like it just seems like with Dean Ambrose, anytime it looks like he's starting to get over, they just give him this bullshit to work with. Like when the Shield first broke up, it's like, the idea was that Roman was going to be the top guy.
Right.
And, Seth was going to be the guy that goes out there and gives you big matches. What's Dean going to do? And then it looks like they were building him up as a top guy, but then they always found ways to kind of fuck with him. Like, for example, they had him, I guess, bring out a hot dog cart and spray mustard and, a ketchup on Kane and Randy Orton. They make him the WWE champion, and that's when Wacky Dean was born.
Yes.
Like, he wins the title, and he's like, oh, I guess I almost forgot my title in the cab.
Oh, my gosh.
It's like, oh, my God. And then that interview with Stone Cold didn't help.
Nope.
I don't know. And then, they reform the Shield. He gets hurt. Comes back. He's fucking swole. He looks like he just spent a year at San Quentin. Yes,
I love this new look. I was like, whoa.
And
I was like, I like Dean before, but this new look, I was like, wow.
And
like, Dean Ambrose?
And you know what's funny is that like when you were here, like you were on the show the first time, like after we were done recording, I look on my phone, it says Dean returned, and I'm like, damn, he looks different. Like, you know, I think they're trying to make him look like Daryl from The Walking Dead his whole career. Like, let me rephrase that. The idea for his character was that they wanted to make him seem like he was Daryl from The Walking Dead, this badass that had a crossbow. But in the end, they just made him look like Adam Sandler.
Yes.
So
yes.
and then he comes back, and then they make him even more goofy. They make him, you know, they put him in the Shield. They pretty much make him Roman's, you know, bitch, pretty much. Mm-hmm. Like, you know, and then Roman gets leukemia. He has to leave. They turn him heel, which I'm like, okay, this seems like it could go somewhere.
Yeah.
They have him appear in a fucking car outside next to a burning trash can, like he's in a rat video or something.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just like, And then the next week, he just comes out and calls everyone stinky. And he's playing, you know, hide and seek with Seth. It's like, what the fuck are they doing to Dean? Oh my god. And then he just has that terrible match with Seth at TLC.
And it should have been such a good match because this build up should have been for years, you know, when Seth double crossed Dean and they ended up breaking up the Shield and everything, you know, and now with the heel turn, and it's like his explanation for him turning on Seth wasn't even what we expected it was. It was just because he felt like it, pretty much. It wasn't like, hey, you think I forgot what you did to me a couple years ago? Hell no, you know, and just even though people are going to be like, well, you guys ended up partnering, you guys ended up being cool, they turned you babyface, now you're heel, but you're trying to nitpick of something years ago. Yes, that's fine. Let him bring that bullshit, say that was in the back of his mind always. You know, he got tired of playing, you know, the third wheel, you know, in the Shield and this and that, and he's going to fuck Seth over. And they should have played it off that way. They should have been able to give him exactly what he wanted, which is, yes, he got the heel heat now, and everybody was like, oh my gosh, so emotional. Yes, that's perfect. Now what are you going to do with it? And then unfortunately, I think they just, you know, they just went off with, let's turn him heel, and without actually having a plan for him. Because the match was horrible for TLC, you're right. And for something that you're saying you're taking revenge, and this was years in the making, and of course he went out and he couldn't even use his injury and say, you know what, I came back tougher than ever. Every day I trained because I knew I was going to face you, Seth. You know, like something to be like, oh shit, you know, Dean is serious. Dean is going to, you know, wants revenge. Dean wants to kill Seth. No, it's like just, whatever, you know.
And what made it even more weird was that, you know, Renee was like so not involved with anything. And that was the idea I had. I was like, are they going to involve Renee? Because that'd be pretty interesting. Like, make her, you know, this kind of bitchy, you know, cynical, smart mouth heel. You know, still keep her on commentary, but like anytime Dean comes out, she, you know, goes crazy. But
yeah, and it was like, I remember this pissed me off. She was like, oh, well, I don't know what's going on between the guys. Really, bitch? You sleep with him.
That pissed me off because anytime Corey would be like, do you know what's going on? She's like, oh, I don't know.
No, I don't, you know, we don't talk about that. I don't know. And I'm like, bitch, you sleep with the guy. How do you not know?
Dean doesn't tell me things. Oh
yeah. He didn't mention anything when he was over for dinner. Really? You fucking sleep with the guy. How do you not know? Bullshit. You could just have said, you know what? I know exactly how he feels. You know, Seth was his friend, his brother, and blah, blah, blah. And it's just some roller coaster of emotions with. She could have played that shit off too. She's another one. That's why I said when I said, oh, Dean is leaving, I was like, I'm sad to see Dean go, but can he take his fucking wife with him? That's all I want. Take her.
Oh, man.
Because let me tell you this, Drew. She's fucking annoying as shit. When she was in Total Divas that one episode, thank God they never brought her ass back. When she was on it, she was just bitch and bitch and everything was bitch. Her and Lana, by the way. Lana's another one that I'm sure Lana's a wonderful person because I know LeBart vouches for her. But the way they made her seem in Total Divas, it's like, oh my gosh, shut the fuck up. It's real, and that's what happened with Renee. Like, you know, just, and I know this show is scripted, but just so you see the annoying part, it's, you know, she wanted to go out on the weekend. This is when Dean was champ. And Dean wanted just to stay home and relax because, shit, he puts the energy in the ring. You know, he worked his ass off. He gets the blows and whatnot. Let the man relax. It's his fucking weekend. You just have to just hold a mic and just say questions. You don't know what it is to be a champ. You don't know what it is to get those blows. And stop being a bitch. And then I find out like a week later, oh, they're married. I was like, oh, well, look at that. Fucking unreal. Yeah.
I never watched Total Divas. I would just see the clips. I remember one episode in particular where Dean was meeting her parents, and Renee's telling him, "Don't be so you. Don't try to be different. Try to be more intelligent or blah blah blah." And then Dean meets her parents, and her parents fall in love with him. And then there was that whole bit where like somebody steals like her purse or her mom's purse, and he literally chases down the guy and pins him up against the wall.
Yeah.
And, tells him, say you're sorry and that you're a drunk asshole and get the fuck away from here. So it's just like, Dean is more likable. A lot of the women on that show, I don't know, it's because like the show makes them look more unlikable, but I don't know. It just seems that way. I would like to think that's the way. The only woman on that show that comes off more likable is Naomi.
Oh, yeah, I love Naomi. I think you're right.
Yeah, Naomi and, which one is she married to, Jimmy or Jay?
I thought oh, shit, I should know this.
I don't
Jimmy,
know.
It's Jimmy.
I like them both. I like them.
I want to say both. Jimmy.
I was going to say, I like them both.
But I feel like she calls him something else.
Anyways, I'll just say Uso. She's,
yeah.
Her and Uso, they seem likable because they just seem like a real couple. They seem like they're very down to earth, and they kind of seem like big kids almost. Whereas,
Jimmy,
Renee and Dean, Dean. It seems like the husbands are always the ones that are more likable, or the significant others. Like
I think she's
John,
abusive.
Yeah, you look at John Cena when he was on the show. He just pretty much told Nikki, "Hey, if you want to go fuck Dolph, go fuck him. I don't care."
Yeah, John, it's unbelievable. Him being on Total Bellas and Total Divas, I mean, people just would be like, all the rules and that shit, I get that. That was, to me, a little bit, I feel like he needed some kind of therapy with that whole rules, but again, his house, his rules, I suppose. You know
what? I have a theory about that. I think he was testing Nikki, and anytime she agreed to anything he said, I'm pretty sure in the back of his mind, he's like, damn, will this bitch get the fuck out of my house?
No, I think honestly, legitimately he's hurt. And what bothers me is that, and I get it, everybody has their way of healing and whatnot. And it's, in Total Bellas, is interesting because Bree's the one that's saying, I think my sister's going into a midlife crisis because, this has been a big change for her. But here's what I don't get it. My whole thing is, they broke up because she wanted a kid. He finally said, yes, I'll get a reversal for the, I don't know, what do you call that? Vasectomy? Yeah, said he was going to reverse it out. And she was like, no, still can't do this. And I'm like, what?
That's just weird.
I know. And then here's the thing. Now, she's doing herself, and then the last thing I heard was that she was with the Dancing with the Stars guy, which makes me think, oh, you broke up with John because you had a thing for this guy.
Yeah, and then then she openly admits this. I don't know why she did that. She calls John Cena after every date.
After every date?
After every date, she calls John Cena and tells him what happened.
When did she say that? I didn't hear that.
This was like last month.
Oh,
or it might have been at the beginning of this month or last month. Like she literally admitted in an interview that she calls John Cena after every date to tell him what happens.
Just to fuck with him?
I guess to fuck with him, or maybe, or like, I don't know, get his advice, but it's like, that's something you really should keep to yourself.
And that's what I'm saying. For the season, he's no longer the executive producer on it. I know the girls are, but she's like, oh, like, because the family's trying to set her up and whatnot, and she was like, oh, at one point she was like, what are you trying to get me to fuck him or fuck whoever? And she was like, well, when this is ready, this is gonna happen. And she said, oh, I'll need I'll need to change all my wardrobe, like all my lingerie and all my panties, and just, because it's a new beginning. And I'm thinking to myself, I don't know, maybe because I have a different kind of heart, and I'm not judging her at all, because everybody deals with breakups differently. But to me, I'm not the type of person to throw anything in anybody's face, even if I was hurt, simply because I think, like in this case with her doing the breakup, I feel like, that has to hurt him. Like, he spent 5 years with this woman, or 6 maybe, and you can see his tweets, like, they're very, I feel like if anything, this breakup made him a little bit more wiser.
Yeah, because if you remember, he was married. Like, he used to be married, and, that ended pretty badly. And, he's... I remember. I don't blame him from not wanting to have kids or not wanting to get married too quickly. Because I kind of think of it, I think it has something to do with the Make-A-Wishes he does, because I think he holds the record for having the most, Make-A-Wish requests. And, seeing, visiting those kids and seeing what they go through, and that has to take a lot out of you emotionally. And
it does, but his theory, or rather his explanation always on the show has been, it's not because of that, but because he just is at a point in which he knows he wants his career to be, and he doesn't feel like it's wrong. He said it would be wrong for him to try to be a father while he's also in the peak of his career, because he doesn't want to be like those kind of fathers that, have to go away from the family and wrestle and barely be with the family. Like, he wants to be at the point that when he does want a family, he'll be 100% present. And I respect that. I mean, that's nice. It's not like, look at Bray and what happened with his family.
Oh, you mean
it's tough.
You mean good old loyal wholesome Bray?
Yes, and Ho Ho too.
Yeah, I have the article right here. Cosmopolitan. Nikki Bella admits she calls John Cena after every date.
Oh.
I let him know everything, she told People Now. He's known every date I've been on. I have so much respect for him, and this breakup wasn't bad. It didn't end bad. We didn't do bad things to each other. He's still close with my family. And then it just goes on from there.
It doesn't seem like he's close, because in Total Bellas, he doesn't show up at all. Like, not even as credit for executive producer. He's completely off the show.
And then here's another comment you're gonna like. The one thing John's never been a jealous man. That's one bone he doesn't have, which I'm like, that's so rare.
You know what? But it's okay.
Yeah.
I mean, if you think about it, sure, he wasn't a jealous man. He was very centered, and that came across in the show a lot. Whenever he was present, whether it was in Divas or in Bellas, he would always try to be like the voice of reason with Nikki. Like, he would make her think, and I'd be like, oh, well, it's very nice that he's actually taking that approach, and it's such a gentleman, very, like, very selfless approach to it. So you're right, he doesn't need to be a jealous man because he's a secure man.
Yeah, I mean, and that's one thing I never got about certain people, is that when you're at a certain point in your career where you've accomplished everything you've wanted to, why be jealous? Why be cynical? I don't know. I just don't understand that. And it's good to hear that about John, that he's comfortable with his career and, where he's been at and with himself.
Yeah.
Where it's like, I have everything I need. Why do I need something from somebody else?
And what I like about him is that he's also a top wrestler, but he's also willing to not put people down. Like, you don't see him using, you don't see him using his Twitter like the way pick any other wrestler and the way they do it, talking about random shit or, insulting other wrestlers on it or whatnot, or like Corbin that goes after, or Corbin and Cody Rhodes that go just after fans or just haters and whatever and trolls and just,
not Cody.
Oh my gosh, no, why should we ever mention him?
He's Cody Christ. He's Cody Christ, damn it. You show respect to our Lord and Savior.
Oh my gosh. And it's just like they get easily triggered over what people say. And I'm like, someone like Cody who's, head of a company, and it's like, and his wife is a branding or marketing and branding and whatnot. You should know. I don't know if I think I might have said this. I think I did say this a couple months ago. You don't, like someone who's established, whose father's a legend, who's, got so many things going on for himself or goals that he wants to achieve. Why are you going to get triggered by some random person on fucking Twitter? Like, why does it matter? Like, their opinion on you has no validity over your life. If anything, if you feel that you're triggered, as opposed to responding, why don't you prove it with your own actions and do bigger and better? Like when everybody was going after him because of the All In.
Yeah.
And this and we all, hey, it was very expensive for if you were a podcast to try to show up to those things. And everybody had questions on what happened with the finances and who did this and that. And I get that. They're valid questions because guess what? If anybody's going to dish out $2,000 per table, I'm going to want to know, what is this going to cover? What is this going to do for me? As a podcaster, is this going to elevate my career, or am I just going to be just like another, no face in the crowd in a room of people that some I do know, some I do not know? So it's valid questions. And I don't know, people just got triggered. He started up with having a whole dispute with Wrestling Soup, and I'm like, why? Like, dude, just let it go. Let them say, because this is what people don't understand. It's an opinion. Opinions are supposed to be your take on whatever topic you want, and it's supposed to be okay for you to express them. That it's different if your opinion is supposed, if you're using your opinion to hurt someone else, right? Negatively impact them, in which you're going to destroy their lives because you're opening your mouth and being vicious about it, that's different. But if your opinion is sincere concern over something, then that's concern. That should be allowed. We have, we're blessed to be in this country where we have freedom of speech and we're allowed to say whatever we want, but to a certain extent.
Yeah, very true. I mean, with the whole Cody thing, it seems like something that should have been a dead issue, but he always seems to rise up. It's like that train is never late. And it's like,
no, it's not.
Cody's just very confusing. He confuses me a lot. It's, the opposite of John Cena. John Cena is someone who's not, jealous, who's not insecure about himself. Cody is just he's a good-looking guy. He has probably one of the most beautiful women in the planet. People love him. What do you need to be insecure about? And another thing, it's you're right. These are legit questions. We already know when this Double or Nothing pay-per-view is going to start. Okay, who's wrestling? Well, I don't know. Okay, who do you have signed besides Chris Jericho? I don't know. We're supposedly going to get blah, blah, blah.
And Billy Gunn, I think, is a producer.
Yeah, Billy Gunn.
That's all I know.
Yeah, Billy Gunn, you have Jericho, you have Christopher Daniels, you have Frankie Kazarian. Right. Every week it comes out, they're supposedly going after Brock Lesnar. And it's that's impossible. Brock Lesnar hates wrestling. But
yeah, pretty much.
And
well, speaking of Brock Lesnar, did you see that tweet where Chris Jericho insulted Brock? Did you get to see that tweet?
Yes. I saw that. That just made me sad.
I was like, someone was like, get off. Someone was like, are you drunk? I was like, wow.
It's like, yeah, Chris, you should probably join David Arquette in the whole midlife crisis thing. You guys seem like you get along just well.
Oh my gosh. I was like, I hope he left it off, but I don't think so.
It's like you're telling Brock he has a gut, and it's like, yeah, Chris, you're not one to talk.
Yeah, someone actually said, oh, well, someone said, still a fan, but I think you should get a bigger vest. And it was with his love handle sticking out. I was like, oh, jeez. Oh they went there.
Ugh.
Yeah,
there's nothing wrong with love handles, but when you're and you're in your 40s and you're talking shit to another guy that he has love handles, it's like, yeah, you should probably stop talking, dude.
Yeah. Oh man, I don't know, but yeah.
So yeah, we already get aid. Oh, so what was your overall view on the
Royal Rumble?
Oh yeah, you already told me, but we already talked about Nia.
Well, let's just say I don't give it more than a 6. It didn't do much for me. I felt like I agree with you. The women's Royal Rumble was better. The men's, at that point, we were just done with watching the damn pay-per-view that you had to get Elias to come out. And I'm like, what the fuck are you doing? This is supposed to be the Royal Rumble. Why is he in the middle of the ring? And then on top of that, you get another one that's a talker because you get Double J. I'm like, what the fuck? Like, I was just like, at that point, I just went back on Twitter and I was like, I just can't watch this shit. Another like 3-4 minutes. I'm like, start the match already. Enough. That and let's talk about why the fuck did this shit start at 5 and end close to midnight?
Yeah, because I just remember, back in my day, the pay-per-views were just 3 hours.
Yes. Usually it was from 8 to 10:30 or 8 to 10:45. Sometimes it would drag on to 11 o'clock. You're right, but we never had this nonsense of pre-show. We never had this other crap. Now it's like, or a kickoff show and then a pre-show and then I'm like, no, it should literally have been 2 Royal Rumbles, male, female. If you want to have one match in between just to prep, just to switch everything out, fine. And that's it. If you want to stick a pre-show match, make it a half hour because pre-show should not be an hour long. It should literally be a half hour to kickstart the show and boom, that's it.
This is why I'm looking forward to the possibility of when this, Fox deal comes in for SmackDown, that they just go back to having one set of titles. One world title. Get rid of the U.S. title because nobody gives a shit about that. Keep the Intercontinental Championship. One set of tag champs, one woman's champ, and keep the cruiserweight title because that's its
What happened to the remember that back in the day they used to have the European title?
Oh yes.
Yeah. Bring that back.
Oh, I think
I guess they won't do it because of the what do you call it? Because of the
NXT UK.
Right, and that's exactly what I was thinking of.
So I think the last European champion was Jeff Hardy.
You might be right.
Because
I can't remember. It's been a while.
I think that's the reason why there's just so much hours of wrestling is because there's too many fucking titles.
Yes, but there's 2 titles. Yes, they're titles, but there's no meaning toward them. You know what I mean?
Yeah, especially the Universal title. It's like, that title's cursed. I don't care what anyone else says.
Yeah. There's no whereas in the days of Shawn Michaels and Triple H and Chyna and the whole DX but like in those days, right?
Yeah.
I guess you could say Attitude Era, maybe. Yeah, maybe you could say that toward that era. They meant something. Even take that before, take it to the 80s and whatnot. Titles meant something. You had to literally just go up the ladder. And I know for a fact Vince does not like tournaments, and maybe that's why this whole stuff is all frittata. But back in the day, it meant something. It was like, oh my gosh, you accomplished the European title. Oh my gosh, you got the IC title. You're just one step away from becoming WWE champion, at that time WWF champion. But it was like it had the build. It had the it had the storylines. You had like it's almost like you were invested with the character. But you also were there seeing them grow and seeing them be able to take it to the next level. Nowadays, it's like, oh, this was just Nakamura was the U.S. champ. Now it's our truth. But what does that do to the guys other than leave them stagnant in that role or diminish what they have? You know what I mean? Like, nowhere do I remember that it went all the way from being champ to just being, from zero to hero, I guess, or from hero to zero. Like, that's pretty much what we have these days.
Yeah, because, for example, when Seth Rollins was the Intercontinental Champion and he was having, the feud with Dean, I actually forgot Seth was even the Intercontinental Champion because that's how meaningless they made the titles.
Yes.
And, like you said, titles meant something where it was like, I'm going to take your title, I'm going to take away your manhood, then I'm going to take your title.
Yeah.
Just to piss you off. Or, another example, I don't know if you remember this, when Maven beat The Undertaker for the Hardcore Championship on an episode of SmackDown.
Yes.
I remember marking off for that. I'm like, holy shit, Maven's the Hardcore Champion? That's fucking awesome.
Yeah.
And that was when they had that 24/7 rule for the Hardcore Championship where, anytime, anywhere, anyone can pin you and take your title.
Yep, that's right.
So, I always thought that was pretty awesome. But
that's another one that we don't even have these days.
Oh, that'd be so cool if they brought that back.
Mm-hmm.
That'd be so awesome. But, yeah, I mean, because you look at what NXT's doing. Their takeover shows, they only have like 4 or 5 matches.
Yes, and that's all you need. 2-hour show and 2-hour impactful show, and that's it. The storylines are good. The wrestlers go all out, and that's what you need. Here, you have a 3-hour show, and it's literally a circus because you don't know what's going on. You just get bored out of your head. I was watching Raw last Monday, and I literally, when we talk about ADD and how we have this ADD issue, I was watching, and I honestly can't remember who the hell the wrestlers were in the ring. All I was hearing was Chatty Cathy and Cole and them trying to talk to each other. And I'm like, I need to mute the TV. I literally tweeted out, I was like, this sounds better when the TV's off. Like, literally, you have to mute it, and then you can actually focus on the match because they're so overpowering. And I'm like, number one, I don't need your fucking mics to be so high that it drowns out what's going on in the ring. Like, and then on top of that, how about we discuss the fact that at the Royal Rumble, Corey Graves in the night after was giving fucking erroneous information.
Yeah.
I was like, dude, I forgot. I'm trying to remember off the top. What the hell was it that he said? It was something about, I think he said Ric Flair came out as number 1 and he won some shit about Ric Flair. And I was like, no, he didn't come out as 1. What are you talking about? Like, and I'm like, oh my gosh. I'm like, do you research what the fuck you're saying or what? Like,
I imagine, because isn't the story is that, Vince is yelling in their ear to tell him what to say? And
I've heard of that.
And if that's the case, Vince is giving him wrong information. It's like, fool, it's your fucking company.
No, I honestly don't think that he's yelling at them all the time. Because of the fact that if that were the case, they would at least be shut for a little bit. They're not fucking showing, and I apologize for the cursing, but they're not shutting up. It's just like, and I was like, oh my gosh, it's like, shut up. That's like saying, Dean, take your wife. Because first of all, it was, oh great, she joined commentary. That's pretty cool. Woman commentary. That's pretty cool. Okay. And then it was like letting Michael Cole take the lead, and she'd be like, yes. No. Yes. Okay. So for the first 2-3 weeks, it was like, oh, she's not really saying much. And now you fucking can't shut your mouth up. Shut up. All 3 of you guys need to be on mute. Or you need to look over to the right and figure out what the Spanish announce team are doing and how better
I fucking love them. I love the Spanish announce team.
I love them. And how better they're calling the match. Because to me, and I proved this several times, I would watch Raw. It bored the shit out of me. I'm like, I can't watch it, whatnot. Next, that Saturday I go to Mom's, and Dad's always watching. That's how I got into wrestling, because Dad would always watch it, and so that's how I got into it when I was a kid. I loved it, and Dad would watch Raw in Spanish, and he's like, yeah, at Saturday, I pretty much watch all three of them. Actually, no, two, because three, because he watches the Puerto Rican wrestling too. So he was like, yeah, I spent like hours just watching it. It's great. And I'm watching Raw, and I was like, oh wow, I remember this match. Actually, it's a good match. It's interesting. I can get into it. Why? Because the Spanish announce team are calling the moves like old school, like how we grew up with them. And, they would just talk a little bit about the characters that we're seeing, but not too much where they're over drowning the match. It's like they let you focus. They tell you, oh, this was this move and whatnot. And that's it. Like, show over. And I was like, why can't these people do that? Why must we have three of them and all three of them talking bullshit that has nothing to do with calling the match?
Which is why Mauro Ranallo is the best announcer in the company.
Oh, yes.
I love Mauro because he just seems like a little kid. He just seems like a kid in a candy store when he's calling these matches. And then I love when they do those, first person, like POV videos of him.
Yeah.
Looking so hyped and ham for the match. Like, I remember at one takeover where it was the first War Games they were doing. He's like, War Games doesn't just change you, it changes your life. And I'm like, holy shit.
I love him. He actually, it's funny because he retweeted me and he liked my tweet when, I forgot someone in our team said, oh, NXT was so great. And I was like, yeah, and it's even, I think I said either it gets elevated or it gets even better with great commentary, and I tagged Mauro Ranallo on it. And he liked it, and I was like, marking. I was like, oh, look, he liked my tweet. He's an amazing guy, and it's just sad that, he was like a couple, what was it, like a year ago because of some bullshit. And I'm glad he was able to come back, and I'm so happy that he's calling matches because, he does a lot for the programming.
Yeah. Yeah, he makes the matches interesting.
Yes, he does. And that's the same thing that happens with Spanish announcing. You just get into it. It's like, oh my gosh, he's really into it.
Like, I don't know what, Vince's, fascination with, let's put in three announcers. It's like, why? We just need two.
No. We just need two. We always had Jim Ross, and we had Jerry the King. We had Gorilla Monsoon and help me out because I'm blanking right now. And
Gorilla Monsoon and Bobby Heenan.
Bobby Heenan, yes.
Okay.
Oh my gosh, I don't know why I like all week I was like, my gosh.
You know what tandem I liked, and this doesn't actually get a lot of talk. Jim Ross and Paul Heyman.
Yes.
When Paul Heyman was was on announcing because Jerry Lawler walked out of the company because they fired his girlfriend, whatever. And, they brought in Paul Heyman for about, I would say, like, less than a year. And then the invasion angle started, and then he left and went to OVW and then came back with Brock. But yeah, the whole tandem of Jim Ross and Paul Heyman I love because you have Jim Ross, who's this good old Southern boy and would call matches down the line, tell stories. Paul Heyman was just like in your face and was unfiltered.
He's also from the Bronx, by the way.
Oh yeah, Paul Heyman, very much a New York guy. He'd always come out to the ring wearing those Yankees caps, and I think he said he got in trouble on his first night on commentary because there's that story where there was that whole bit where Vince made Trish Stratus strip in the ring and bark like a dog. You remember that angle, right?
Yes, I do.
And then Paul Heyman says, look, Ma, I went to D.C. I almost saw Bush. I think he said he almost got fired or he just got in trouble.
Oh,
but,
God.
Yeah, Paul Heyman and Jim Ross, I love.
He's amazing on the mic.
Paul
is the reason, sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. Paul is the reason why, granted nowadays we don't see Brock as, or excited to see him because he's been, pretty much done. But Paul, I think I get more excited seeing Paul Heyman come out than I do for Brock Lesnar.
I love Paul because, and I forget what part of the ankle it was, because I forgot who was fucking telling him. I think it was Vince, or somebody asking Paul something like it was in the Bible, and then you see Paul, I didn't read the Bible.
Yeah.
So, but I mean, Brock obviously has that, untouchable credibility, and I think Paul, I guess by association, can kind of say what he wants, because technically he kind of does and doesn't work for the company, because last I heard he's in creative again.
I hope so, because we need to do something.
Oh, yes, like, please put him on creative. Please have, I don't know, go back to the old school way, get rid of all these TV writers. And that's the one thing that bothers me. It's like, John Draper said it perfectly. They need to hire like a 30-something, comic book graphic novel writer.
You know what? They need, and I would agree with that, but at the same time, I know for a fact there was an associate producer at my old company who was a huge wrestling fan. And, since he was a kid too. And he was trying to go for a writer for the, I don't know whichever show, but one of the things they said to him was, why don't you give us a story, like pick a character, give us a story of how you would play things out. And he did. And he said to me, they wanted to pay me the gross of what I was making as net. And where we were working. And I was like, what? He's like, yeah, they don't want to pay the writers is the thing. You want to have good writers, but you don't want to pay them well neither. So that's why you get crappy writers. And I say that a lot. And some other guy that I know who's actually comes and goes, he was like, oh yeah, my buddy is one of the writers for Raw. And I was like, I was like, really? I was like, really? And I said, oh, how long is he? You know me, I'm just an asshole sometimes. And I was just,
you're a sweetheart. You're a sweetheart.
I am, but I'm sarcastic, And I looked at him and I was like, raw, really? I was like, yeah, I heard they have high turnaround for writers there. And he was like, they do.
You should ask him, has he met Randy Orton yet?
Oh my gosh, I'll ask him next time I meet him. Because he's on and off in the company. I was like, yeah, that needs to happen. I need to ask him about that story.
All right, if you're a wrestler and you would you have disdain for the writers or some type of dislike for the writers?
If you know what, honestly, I would have to. I would have to give them the benefit of a doubt because. One, the thing is, you might have a good story, and then they fire the writer for whatever reason. You get another story, and it's like, what? Now you got this one. And the thing is a combination of I call them the Hollywood writers versus just fans. And I think they need to go back in the days like when they had Freddie Prinze, right? And it was, hey, he was a fan. He saw the product when he was growing up. He knows exactly what needs to be done. Get people like that. Get writers that are invested in the product, not some randoms that are going to be like, oh, well, let's take this guy and put this guy together and see what happens. And that's not how it works.
Yeah, not like, I was the 6th writer on Walking Dead. It's like, and that was the bad season. But, but yeah, you're right. Going back to my idea, or actually it was John Draper's idea. Hire like a 30-something, comic book writer, graphic novel. And, and here's another question I have for you. And I actually asked John this. If you're Vince, say you're Vince McMahon, you're watching TV, you see a show like Daredevil, or you see Luke Cage, in your head you're thinking, wow, this, The Punisher, there you go. Or another popular, comic book show. You see that and you go, who's writing this? I want to know who's one of the writers on this, or who's the writer, I want to get him on board. I asked John this, do you think Vince or the company, kind of looks down on comic books or comic book writers? Or just writers of, comic book shows? No,
I honestly don't think so, because you would think that they would want... I don't think... let's put it this way. I honestly don't believe so, because the one thing I have to give them is that they market themselves pretty well. They're really known internationally. And for them to actually exclude a part of, I guess you can call it a hobby, or I'd call it a genre of what people like if you're targeting your think about it this way. They had I forgot what was it, Camp WWE, and that was all cartoony.
Yeah.
My thing is, if you're targeting kids and you're going to want to be able to grab, and that's your main, kids and let's say teenagers, and that's who your market is, who you're trying to hold on to. And it's like the adults, it's like, oh, whatever, they'll stick around because they're, they kind of grew up, but we're targeting these kids. You want to target their interests. And if they're into comic books and Walking Dead and whatnot, you're going to want to target people. Like, another thing that I've not seen in a while, and maybe because I have not watched Raw in a while, fully, it's, remember when they used to bring the hosts, like the guests here and there, and they would have to, like when they brought in, oh, what's his name? Hugh Jackman.
Yeah.
And Hugh Jackman is into wrestling, and they brought him. And I was like, wow, that's great. You have a Hollywood star, Broadway star in your show. You targeted the women because the women are huge Hugh Jackman fans, and you target the guys because their guys are like, oh, that's Wolverine, tough guy. You want to exclude someone, to exclude the comic book writers, I think would be an injustice to the product, because you want to be able to, hey, if Hollywood's not working, why wouldn't you try another writer, especially one that's creative, and especially one that's putting on amazing shows like The Punisher? Whoever's doing the writing for that, whoever's doing the whole set, the graphics, everything, from actors all the way down to crew, God bless them, because it's an amazing show. It's like you want to know what the hell Frank Castle's going to do next. Is he going to go off the rails again? Is he going to, what's Billy going to do? It's like, it has you so emerged with it that you're like, wow, I can't miss an episode. Or you want to binge all episode, which I like the fact that they have every single episode, but that's the kind of attraction you want for your product. And unfortunately, they do that in 1 hour, where Raw delivers 3 hours worth of programming. If you add SmackDown another 2 hours, in 5 hours, you cannot capture everybody's full attention. That's something. That should be like, okay, guys, what are we doing? Because it's not talent. I think everybody puts their entire bodies on the line to deliver, the best they can with the crappy story they have. But it's like, what are you doing with them? You had Zack Ryder tweet out right before the end of the year, oh, maybe I'll make it to, remind me, because I can't remember, it was Raw, SmackDown. I think it was Raw. It's like, oh, maybe I'll make it to the last Raw of the year. And why does he, as a talent, has to tweet something out in order to get the attention of people?
I don't know, that's another thing. It just seems like, social media, it kind of seems like I don't have a problem with social media. Social media is kind of like a detriment, and it's also helping, the wrestling business. With a guy like Zack Ryder, it's like, well, I can't get over on the actual show, so I might as well tweet out my discomfort.
Mm-hmm.
And they always find a way to maybe either use that to their advantage, or the company just kind of uses it as a one-off thing. You look at Becky, she's, keeping herself over, even if she's not on TV, she'll go on, social media and just like trash talk everybody, same thing with, Rhonda, she'll trash talk on social media, and it's funny. Or she'll
attempt to.
Yeah. But, yeah, Becky does it a little bit better.
Yeah.
Just a little bit.
You know what? I think she has Paul Heyman behind her.
You think so?
Yes, because in the, there was a special that went on about Becky, like what happened after the nose thing and how she had to go off. And how she was saying that she had to talk to her mom. Paul Heyman was there, and he was talking to her, and I was like, what are the chances that Paul is actually behind there? You know what I mean?
That would be interesting as fuck.
And it would make sense though, because if you think about it, how she went from being America's sweetheart in wrestling to just being hardcore Brockish, but with Paul Heyman's kind of, magic on the mic, it would make sense that he's like somewhere, whether he's telling people this is what she should be or whether he's advising her this is how you should come off. It would be amazing to me.
Yeah, and again, going back to comic books, that's kind of like a very good comic book origin. She starts off as this innocent little squeaky clean, wearing these goggles.
Yeah.
And now she's a badass. You look at Aquaman. Aquaman was kind of like the butt end of every joke, and then he became this badass, like overnight.
You're right.
And and you talked about the Punisher. Okay, you said obviously you liked it. You just said you liked it.
Yes, I love it. And actually, don't spoil it for me because I'm still in season 2. I think episode 6 maybe.
Oh, I like. Well, I'm not gonna spoil it for you. I won't. But I'll just let you know at the end. There's kind of like a good nerdy moment.
No, don't tell me. I love surprises. Number one, that's the one thing. Okay, I love good surprises. So don't tell me because right now I'm like, damn it, Billy. And
you see, that annoys me. Billy annoys me. And well, here's why he annoys me. It's because you look at Jigsaw, the character. His face is like literally mangled and fucked up.
Yeah, and Billy still looks good with only a couple scars.
And that annoys me because he's like, look at what the Punisher did to my face. And I'm like, you still look better than me.
Oh my god. Oh, I know. I like when they had him all wrapped up, I was like, oh my gosh, he's gonna fucking look like Two-Face. You know how Two-Face had his whole face all burnt out and shit? I was like, oh god, he's gonna look just like monstrous like that. And I'm like, oh, you just got a couple scars and people are digging at your face, but it's like, and you're getting triggered. I'm like, no, okay, you could just be and say, well, that's just scars from wars and whatnot and have a cool story behind them versus getting all triggered and shit. And I'm like, okay.
Because there's that one scene on the bus where there's that guy who's like, oh, look at this freak.
Yeah.
And it's like, you're still, bro, you're still ugly.
And he got all triggered and he follows the guy and switches. And I was like, Billy, come on, man.
Like, dude,
come on. And how about the fact that he's sleeping with a girl that looks just like his ex? Just with straight hair.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
The doctor with versus Angel Madari.
I just, you know what? That doctor, I was like, I thought she was going to die at the beginning of the series. But, I'm not going to spoil it, but they
No, I know they're lovers. I know that they're lovers. And I'm like, oh, okay. But I was like, part of me kind of wished that he would go back to Agent. See, what the thing is, everybody was so in belief that Billy's evil, Billy's this, but Billy can't fucking remember shit. I mean, talk about a 100% erase the fuck up person that he was, and he was just like, good old Billy, the one that you knew that was your brother, and then everybody was like, oh, and they all turned on him, and I was like, you see, that's the problem. Why don't you find out information first before you try to go ahead and do other things? Because now you're turning him again into what he was, in a way. Although he kind of was doing that on his own, trying to get the guys back together and go back to his old ways. So maybe they're just trying to prevent what's going to ultimately happen. But yeah, but don't spoil it because I haven't finished watching it.
Well, I'm not spoiling. I'm just kind of giving what I see in the characters, like Frank Castle.
Yes.
And I like John Bernthal. I like him as an actor. I think he does a very good job in the role. Mm-hmm. When he's the Punisher, he's fucking awesome.
Oh, yes.
When he's going on a giant fucking rampage, when he has that skull on his chest,
yep.
It's awesome. When he's Frank Castle, it's kind of boring.
Yeah.
Like when he's trying to have a conversation with somebody, I'm like,
But doesn't he remind you of his same character as the cop that was in Walking Dead before he got killed?
Yes, like he's basically
character.
He's basically Shane, but with a
Brooklyn
accent.
Yeah,
you can't protect him, Rick.
Yeah,
and
that's exactly what it reminds me of.
And then he goes on Daredevil 2. See you later, Red. I can't do a Brooklyn accent, but
It's okay.
He's basically Shane. I mean, he does a good job. He does a good job, but I don't know. Like, I didn't like the girl, the teenage girl that's on the show.
Oh, her! I'm like, why? Oh, that's exactly what I said. First episode, she shows up. I was like, so now we're gonna be dragging this one all. It's like Claire with Shelly in Resident Evil 2. I was like, now we gotta be taking care of this little kid. I'm like, come on now. Why does she have to be the one? Same thing. Why does he have to be the one to be dragging this chick all the entire season?
It's like, let's add a sassy teenager that insults the Punisher and then calls him old. It's hilarious. Get it?
Yeah, I'm like, no, you could have continued it on without. See, that's my only thing. It's like, fine, 2 episodes, 3 episodes tops with the chick. You don't gotta drag her ass all throughout the rest of the season. I'm like, really? I don't care for her. Yeah, sure, poor thing, whatever. But you know what? She fucked up because she ended up leaving the trailer and going to her fucking little friend. So now she's, oh my gosh, I shot someone. Yeah, well, that's what happens when you grab someone's gun and you shoot. Like, I mean, ugh.
The characters other than the Punisher, I like his friend Curtis. Curtis is pretty cool.
I love Curtis. Curtis is awesome.
He's the heart and soul of the show. And then the other villain, John Pilgrim, who I like him because he kind of reminds me of Javier Bardem's character in No Country for Old Men.
I don't think I've seen that one.
It's a pretty good movie. It's a little slow, but like basically his character is it's based off a character in the comics called the Mennonites, which they actually exist. I mean, they don't go around killing people, but like they're basically just these Amish guys that have no electricity, don't watch TV, don't listen to music, don't watch movies. And supposedly, and this is what John Draper said on Side Cell with Mish, they had to change up the character, or they had to refrain from calling it Mennonites, so they wouldn't offend Mennonites. And it's like you don't want to offend a group of people that don't watch TV or movies or listen to music or have electricity.
That's true.
Oh, man.
Because, unfortunately in this society, I swear this is the generation of the sensitive people. They call them snowflakes, whatnot. My thing is, when we were growing up, people could be brash. People can just speak their mind. People could even insult each other, throw punches, and no cops were involved. They just duked it out right there and then. Now it's like, oh my God, you pinched me. Oh, I'm going to sue. Oh, I'm going to call the cops. Oh, blah, blah, blah. And this and that. And I was just like, stop, man. Did you see that tweet about someone saying, I think his last name was Bella, saying,
Nikki DeBella or something like that?
I don't something like that. And he was like, oh, about shame on the WWE and women and abuse and domestic violence. I was like, are you fucking kidding me? Did we see the same show? Because she attacked a man, and physically hurt him, in real life. She smacked his face up against whatever it was, or he landed face first. And then she goes on and confronts other men in the ring. You're going to tell me that you're picking a fight and granted, don't get me wrong, I don't believe in men hitting women, but in this case, it's an athlete confronting another athlete.
It's a fake. Yeah, it's like, so you run a business where guys actually punch each other in the face and they get paid shit.
Yeah.
But you're getting mad at a fake fighting company.
Yeah.
Like I don't get it. I honestly don't.
And talking about abuse, and I'm like, did we forget that she abused him? Did we forget the whole how she got into the ring? No, that's like I said. No one's bitching about her, and I actually was the first one to say, no one's bitching about, our truth getting hurt or her attacking our truth for that abuse. Oh, she attacks a man, but that's okay. That should be overlooked at because, it was just a guy.
Because men are evil.
I mean, you know what? Every kind of person out there. There's good men and then there are bad men, and then they're just complete assholes. And it's just, my thing is, if you're going to step into a ring as an athlete and you're putting yourself in a situation where you have high testosterone, you have high adrenaline going, you have athletes who are professional. If you're going to step up into the ring as a professional, expect to deliver as a professional. You know, you're an athlete, you're a wrestler, you're going to wrestle men, and there's plenty of, and they do it in the indies, women step up to the men. You know, and we've even seen in WWF wrestling history where, you know, we've seen the women carry the men. If you're going to do that, and because you want to, I don't know, salty at the fact that you lost the Rumble, you're, I don't know, want to put your name out there, start trending, or maybe because someone in the back said, oh, sure, this would be a good way to end, you know, the men's Royal Rumble by saying, hey, the women are still here too, and they can step into the ring and confront you guys. If you want to do all that, fine, but don't, you know, no one should turn around and say, oh, poor Nia, you know, she got RKO, let's have pity on her. No, let's not fucking have pity on her. Why should we have pity on her? It was one wrestler against another. You know, she took the blows. Good for her for taking the blows. Because, you know what? You attacked other wrestlers too.
And you know what? Obviously, she went through with it. Obviously, the company asked her, hey, is it okay if Randy Orton and Ray and Dolph do their finishers on you? I'm pretty sure she went, yeah, absolutely. So why are you saying poor her when she went along with it the whole fucking time?
And that's why I said no one forced her.
That's like watching the Avengers movie and be like, oh, poor Scarlett Johansson for having to get punched in the face by Thanos. It's like, well, A, he's CGI, so he doesn't really exist, so I didn't really get punched by anything. And B, I'm a woman. Or B, I'm Black Widow. I'm a fucking assassin. I go after everybody.
Exactly.
So, I don't see where that dude's coming from. That just reeks of SJW snowflake.
Exactly.
Bullshit mushed together.
Yep.
Ah, man. So we pretty much went through everything. Was there anything else you wanted to kind of go over?
No, not really. I think we did all we wanted to cover on wrestling. We covered Dean, we covered the Royal Rumble, talked about Nia, we talked about sensitivity.
Sensitivity.
We talked about Balor's chiseled abs.
Oh,
so,
yes.
Yeah.
Can't forget about that.
Can't forget about that.
How Sheamus gives really good hugs.
He does give good hugs.
I'll have to remember that. All right, did you want to do your plugs?
Sure. You can follow me on Twitter at DarkTemptrez. That's DarkTemptrez. Not an S. I know. I'm also responsible for Kevin Castle having a Z in between Kev and Castle. That was all me.
You heard it right here, folks. That's an exclusive.
Yeah, I set up his Twitter and I gave him a Z because there's a troll that's also called Kevin Castle or Kev Castle. So I was like, let's put a Z in there just for shits and giggles. So nice. That's why he has a Z. I think there was that and some other reason why, but we both can't remember exactly why I put the other Z in there. And then on Patreon for the DTKC show, and that's for Dark Chronicles. That's every other Thursday, and also Castle Chronicles tapes every other Thursday. So we switch it up, but it always goes live by Friday at midnight or Thursday at midnight going into Friday.
Nice. All right, Trez, I appreciate you for taking time to be on the show yet again.
Oh, thank you so much for the invite. I always have fun.
Yeah, absolutely. I had fun too. This is a blast. This was basically our ADHD coming out in the whole episode.
Pretty much.
Yeah, I don't even know what I'm going to write as a description and be like, well, we kind of tried and talked about the Royal Rumble, then we skipped to this and we went back. But yeah.
Yeah.
All right, I would love to have you back on if you're
anytime, whenever you want.
All right, awesome. All right, take care.
Thank you so much for everything.
No problem. Thank you.
Take care, guys.
Take care.
Bye.
Bye-bye. All right, guys, that's it. All right, Cher did her own plugs. Oh, shit, that scared the shit out of me. You already know where to find me. Twitter, GRE Show. Instagram, GRE Show. Facebook, GRE Show. Don't forget Wrestling Soup. They have their own Patreon. They have their own show. Comes on every Thursday, 8:30 Central Time. Arc Attack Podcast, Techless Podcast, Massacre, and everything that Trez said. And I'll do actually I can just edit this show and upload it by midnight. And oh yeah, Trez just messaged me. And that'd be about it. And you know me, shows every Wednesday on Spreaker, and I'll try and do more of these shows out of the week. But yeah, Wednesday is always when the show is always going to come out, and they'll be like every other show, or a show every other time out of the week. Anyways, take care, guys. Later.